So one of the really common things I see in my pediatric sleep clinic is children who have nightmares and also night terrors. And I find that parents tend to really get these two terms confused. So a nightmare is a wake up from REM sleep. So REM is our rapid eye movement sleep when we tend to have really intense dreams. And we experience REM sleep with each sleep cycle. And there's actually more REM sleep in the second half of the night. And so that's when the nightmare is happening. So it's a wake up from dream sleep. There's more dream sleep in the second half of the night. And so nightmares classically happen later in the night. So a time like 3 or 4 a.m. could be a very typical time for a nightmare. The nightmare is a full waking up from sleep. So the child or individual or adult is fully awake. There's often emotions associated. They might be experiencing a state of fear, but they're fully awake and they actually remember waking up from sleep. And as such, part of the management for nightmares is actually talking through some of this dream content during the daytime and even doing things like coming up with an alternate ending for that dream. So the kid is fully aware of what happened, and of course the parent remembers what happened as well. Now, in contrast, a night terror is in the category of something called a parasomnia. And so it's kind of this state where the child is still having features of sleep but also having some features of wakefulness, but essentially looks like they're sleeping. So if we were to actually put some EEG where we actually measure the brain activity during sleep, the brain is still technically asleep, but there are some behaviors that can actually be seen during wakefulness. So a night terror is a parasomnia, and it happens during deep sleep. And deep sleep, there's actually a larger amount of deep sleep with each sleep cycle in the first chunk of the night. And so since this is something that happens during deep sleep, it's actually more likely to be seen in typically the first 1/3 of the night. Now, children, especially those who are less than or equal to 8 years of age, actually tend to have more amounts of deep sleep relative to adults. And so they are more prone to having night terrors. And they can also have other types of these parasomnias. And so the night terror looks like a situation where the child looks like they are experiencing autonomic arousal. So their eyes are wide open, the pupils could be dilated, they might be screaming, they might be sweating. They look like they're having this really stressful experience, but actually they're still sleeping and they actually have no memory of what happened. And the parent is really distressed about what's happened, but the kid actually can't remember anything. Now, parasomnias can take on other forms as well. So we have parasomnias where the child experiences like a confusional arousal. So it's almost where they're kind of moving around the bed as if they're kind of confused and almost partially waking up. That's another example of a parasomnia. Sleepwalking is another common example of a parasomnia. And interestingly, any behavior that's actually done during wakefulness can actually happen in the context of this parasomnia. And as I was saying before, because we see larger amounts of deep sleep in children as compared to adults, in particular kids who are less than 8 to 10 years of age, we're more likely to see some of these parasomnias in that particular age group.